Welcome back to the freaking
Jeez. Starting off real strong this one.
Welcome back to the American Noise Podcast. American Noise.
Something American Noise.
Sorry for the peak. I'm sorry for all the neighbors around here that are just, what was that? I mean, a Breaking the Line podcast taking deep dives the arts of mime and choreography. I'm Samuel.
I'm proud. American Noise.
It's Skillet November.
Yeah. Skillet's November. We made that joke.
Yep.
Mash that like, subscribe. Let's get into it.
This song was October 2015, choreographed by.
Yep. This is choreographed by Ann Barker, one of Tessa's sisters. And this is back in... Ann's a phenomenal mime. Like, just highly respected. And I don't know. It's really weird because, like, when this song first came out, I was at the mime camp after this song was created, and this song was one of the songs that got shared around at the 2016 mime camp. So I don't know, it was just kind of funny, and Anne was really excited about it. She thought it turned out really well, and we'll get into it.
We'll get into it. I remember you posting this one. This is like one of your earlier videos as far as the digital mime is concerned. You had your initial upload spree of just a bunch of songs, and then when it went quiet for a little bit, this is one of the ones that came out only like 8 years ago.
Yeah,
your 10-year-old channel.
My channel is about 10 years old now.
It's crazy. You got a little kid running around as a channel.
Yeah.
Almost up to 1,000 subscribers, which you can help them cross that threshold. We're at like 750 something.
If you, dear viewer, mash that like scribe,
it could be there.
Get us closer. Yeah, last I checked, it was at 750.
Yeah. It's close.
I mean, 3/4 of the way to
getting monetized, which not like we're going to do that. But
we're getting monetized and make lots of sense off of this channel.
It's not that you would, but that you could.
I could.
That's all that matters.
See, and ads are already going to be played on these because music gets played on them. So
honestly, I don't get ads for this. I don't get ads for this though.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of them get copyrights. Because of the copyright for the music. Ads will get placed on them, and then the record company gets the ads for it.
Sure.
Which is fine. That's a good deal, because then at least I can still put the stuff out there, but it'd be nice to have a couple of cents for all the thousands of hours I put into this channel.
A couple of cents. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Breaking through the ad noise. Anyway, let's get into it.
All right.
Nice long introduction to this one.
Yeah, so it is kind of funny to see several people on this team, like, are people who I know, and this is from, like, almost 10 years ago.
The nostalgia is kicking in hard.
Nostalgia, man.
So, I like how the song begins, where a person's walking and establishing 3 different scenes, essentially.
Yeah, there are three parts of this girl's life. So, there's these 3 scenes, center, left, and right. That are all, you might say, different aspects of her life,
right?
And
school, home, and I don't know what the last one is
friends
per se.
Or something. I don't know.
But that I like how that pre-chorus does the 3-2-1, kind of showing the 3 different scenes, and they're all not right. Things are not the way they should be. She goes to this scene that's technically number 3 in the line, then tries to share the gospel with number 2, which I think is a parent with 2 kids. I'm not sure exactly what the situation is, but it looks like it's somebody yelling at 2 kids for not doing their chores and then trying to get them to do their chores. And then the scene on stage right, our left, is of someone trying to like break up a fight, just not listening. Mm-hmm. So all different aspects of things not being right. And I don't know what the first scene is. I think they're just being lazy and watching TV. Yeah,
I get the impression it's supposed to be like this girl's mom and dad who are neglectful. So they're kind of like 3 different aspects of neglect and anger discourse, something along those lines.
Right. All right, gets rid of the Bible because she's angry. What's tricky with this choreography is that there's a lot of conversation, and as we've talked about with mime conversation, it's difficult to work out. I don't know if this was intentional or if this is right, but like it seems like the first scene was fixed. That's why their hands are down and the other ones are up. But the Bible wasn't necessarily introduced per se. So if it's 3 simultaneous scenes, yeah, I just don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. If that's supposed to be the case, I feel like a little bit of clarity on that would help to kind of like establish, oh yeah, things were fixed, so you can see these 3 scenes, things are slowly growing toward a better conclusion.
Because like this one, I like how it seems very clear, like Bible was the answer,
Yeah.
and it like the scenes got fixed.
This guy came out of that second scene to seek something better, which is,
Right.
the gospel. And
Yeah.
then by coming into this scene, I don't know, I feel like there's
Unless it's her growing
some
up.
clarity that could be helped.
Right, but then it seems like the scenes aren't fine again, and now that the Bible that was given to her is then the answer for those other people fixing their problems. So, spoiler alert, it's probably high style, low clarity. But I do like the style of this part where they've gone from the rebellious pose to the, you could say, fixed pose, or the way that they're supposed to be.
There's some kind of resolution, some
Lowering
calm that's come across
lowering
them.
down your guard.
Mm-hmm.
Which, mind you, breaking through the American noise has nothing to do with this, in my opinion. There's a few lyrics that are used, but it's mostly just good background music.
Mm-hmm. It's got a vibe,
It's got a vibe.
It's going for a vibe.
Yeah, it's the vibe of the music. There's like a little bit of the let your voice be heard, but it definitely doesn't dwell on it. Oh, look at that. The guy's not being lazy and learning how to read and write or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure. And then I'm not entirely positive why this lady came over to sit with the other lady.
Well, they traded places.
Yeah, they
I don't
traded
know if
places.
Their family, or
Yeah.
if it's supposed to be her home life and then her school life or something.
Yeah.
We're probably butchering what the actual intent and purpose of this song was.
That is totally possible.
That's our song. Tell us about the noise.
So,
Oh, by the way, this is really funny. Last week was Whispers in the Dark. This week is American Noise. I just feel like
was that on purpose?
it wasn't on purpose. It was just, but it's Skillet, man. Skillet has all these. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, we got the contradictions against themselves on.
They literally back-to-back songs. I'm awake, I'm alive. Don't wake me, don't awake, I'm asleep.
Good to be alive, not gonna die.
Yeah.
Man.
We need a hero. I'm a monster.
Yeah.
Good just stuff. Like that.
Good stuff. I feel like a monster.
Fun fact, I think there was an alternate radio version of that took out some of the
yeah,
it was too much.
it made it just more normal voice. I know about that,
yeah.
Which I think is really funny. When I first heard that on the radio and it didn't do the "feel like a monster" part, like I was like,
"Aw,
huh?" I was confused.
It's like taking a Screamo song and taking out the scream. And
yeah, basically.
Huh. So anyway, Skillet November. Here we go.
Purpose of message. I'll admit it now, and I'll say it again later when we talk about rating. I don't fully understand the message of this song. And
We've watched it a few times.
We've watched it a couple of times. I'm glad we did, because I have a general idea of what it means. So I feel like that does not bode very well, unfortunately. But nevertheless, it's about, you might say, cutting through the American noise. No, it's about taking all of the chaos that's going on, and the way to break through that chaos is through the gospel. So all of the anger, all of the frustration, all the discord that occurs, and perhaps even the neglect of neglectful parents, bullies at school, whatever the case may be, to cut through that and find peace can only be done through the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's how I interpret that song.
Yeah, I wouldn't add anything to that. That's where I see. Then in an artful way, 3 different scenes, so its purpose is to show this chaos is happening throughout, and how the solution comes to all these different areas in our life, regardless of what they are. So, as that nice broad spectrum of appeal, so if you're being bullied in school, or if you're in a house, you got lots of ways that people can go, I don't resonate with that one, but I get that one, hopefully.
Yeah.
But due to the lack of clarity, I feel like it's a little hard to get that through.
Yeah. So where I'd put this in the lineup, honestly, I'm thinking closer to the beginning. Reason being is because it kind of has a lighter vibe to it, but also it seems to establishes the need, if you will, where I feel like it gives the kind of hints toward the solution is Jesus Christ,
right?
But it doesn't overtly push toward that.
Yeah, it doesn't say the how. You could resolve with this one, getting it being closer to the ending as a resolution. like how the Bible fixes these things of the story we already talked about. So you could do it beginning or end.
I guess it would have to be amidst something else that prepped for it or concluded it. So if you were to do it at the very beginning, it would have to be like this establishes something to kind of like push you toward, well, why does the Bible answer this question? Or if you're at the very end, then it says, okay, so the Bible answers this, then that means that we gotta finish strong with a, the Bible answers this because. So one way or another, whether it's at the beginning or the end, you have to have something else to complement it. It's a complimentary song of sorts.
Complimentary song. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so praiseworthy aspects of it. I really like that there are 3 scenes. We'll get into in the critiques about how it can add to some of the chaos, but it has a really great pre-chorus idea with like 3, 2, 1, everybody come up this way, and then slowly the scenes get resolved, so you see the difference in each of the scenes. So there is a level of, it's cool seeing them all at once. I do like that aspect, especially the establishment at the beginning of her walking by and each scene unfreezing and freezing or whatever.
No, I agree. I feel like it has some interesting style to it, that the abstraction kind of parts, the parts of it that are like very visually appealing, it has like those transition moments that I think are kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that it has the 3 scenes, and I think that's a really unique way to approach this kind of a story. Get into it in the critiques of why it kind of needs to be clear. But long story short, it's like it has a lot of heart, I think. And
I think it leaves people away with a feeling of like the resolve or something's growing. So
yeah, there's a lot of chaos going on, and the resolution is hopefully they understand that it's scripture.
Yep, and then there's a good contrast between the chaos on stage and the lightheartedness of the music, where there's calming. This is what we're going to do. We're going to push through the noise to get to this happy major chord resolution. Mm-hmm. So critiques. Clarity. That's my biggest thing. Like, it's style, clarity, got this disproportionate thing. It's just, I don't understand. It's hard to see all 3 scenes at one time. And that's one of the things we've talked about with like songs like I Surrender All. You have 2 things happening. We have a signer and person running towards Jesus at the same time, but it's a slow part and it's not complicated. So you're like, oh, I can watch both of those things and it's fine. Or the signer for courtroom. There's a signer and then there's things happening, and it's not too fast that you can watch both. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Whereas here, you got 3 scenes that need to fill a lot of time, and it's going to be difficult to watch all 3 and to establish them with clarity. The first one, bullying or like separating a fight, I feel like was clear. The middle one was the hardest to see because they're like referring to chores. And in Mime, when you refer to an object, you're like, you're not doing your chores. You're like, not literally holding the object, but because it's Mime, it looks like you're literally holding the object. So there's a lot of, I don't know, ambiguity there, where I think you would need to choreograph how the scene is set up and given enough time for us to just look at them. And then similarly with the 2 people sitting on the chair, not enough time is given to them. Granted, lots of dilemmas, like the people in the end look a little younger, so it could be that it's just the acting, but the clarity was just low enough that you would probably need time to freeze frame on each one long enough to be like, oh, this is a scene about blank.
For sure. Yeah. And like, when it comes to like clarity is my biggest critique as well. The issue that I keep coming to is like, I don't know what the scenes are supposed to be exactly.
Yeah.
Because my theory from when I look at this and the way I interpret it is stage right is supposed to be like a school kind of scene. This is a group of friends and somebody's, bullying or something like that. They're bullying somebody, something along those lines. The middle is either chores, or I was wondering if it was like supposed to be a teacher and the other people are students, like at a desk or something.
Oh, now that I think about it, I did see writing, so it could be
it could be something
teacher
like that.
At a desk yelling at her students.
Yeah, and then the stage left would be the parents who are just very neglectful at the TV. And that's my theory. That's what I see when I look at that. Maybe. I feel like it needs some clarity.
Hence why the teacher went over to talk to the parents. Except
maybe.
But then why did the parent go? I don't know, because you had the one kid go learn. I don't know if they're watching TV. Yeah, so
there's some icky things gaps there. So
if you could tell us what you think it is,
if that is the correct interpretation, which I don't know if it is, I'm going to go in this next thing I say, assuming that's the case. Stage right, what I would do is like make sure that everybody is established as kind of those, gruff jerk kind of people at the very beginning, and then we move into like in the second act kind of them bullying somebody or something like that, and then the main character not approving of that, and then the third kind of have that resolution of like, bring peace. The middle people have that be like, okay, so this is a teacher who can't keep track of her students, needs to be more established that this is a teacher, and with like drawing on the board or something, maybe slamming a hand on a desk, like, listen to me, I'm talking here, or something like that. And then in the second act, and then in the third act, to kind of come in and be like, hey, we need peace with the teacher needs peace with the students, need to be paying attention, something like that. And then the parents at stage left kind of have something along the lines of, at the very beginning, they're very neglectful, where like the kid comes in and is like, hi mom, hi dad, and they're just like, whatever.
Right.
And then the second scene, they kind of like comes in and is like, hey, why don't you pay attention to me or listen to me, and maybe like get in front of the TV and be like waving at them. And then the parents are like, all right, fine, whatever, get up and start yelling at them, and then dismiss the main character.
Right. Enough time. Again, time. That's the big thing. Time to establish the scenes.
Establishing the scenes. And then finally, when you get into the third one, maybe like something to realize the TV needs to come off and give a big hug or something like that.
Right. A clear remote or whatever. Whatever. That's what it is.
So my point is that there's just so much detail work that needs to be done to emphasize what these scenes are and show that progression. And I think it has like the bones for something that could be really good, but it falls short a lot on clarity. Yep.
Nope. And that's just the main problem that we're having with it. And so it's hard to critique more things, and just moving some puzzle pieces around to give enough time. And I think it could get there.
Yeah. Because the clarity isn't as good as it should be. Some of those scenes of like, them going down on the 3-2-1 and the all for one for all kind of section.
The abstract part of it.
It detracts from that because like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I think it's supposed to mean like when they come up, it's supposed to be like everybody's in chaos. Like you pointed out, if the parents being resolved kind of during that 3-2-1 part, they come up and are resolved.
Right.
I think that would be a lot more powerful if maybe like you added a Bible or something like that. And they're holding it forward as everybody else is angry. They have
scripture. And they're kind of doing a muted anger, a little bit more muted, so a little bit bigger on the character, and even instead of a fisted down, having an open hand and kind of open position to show a piece, and maybe even just a little bit more pleasant, happy.
The big smile, big cheesy smile.
Not quite that bad. Just enough to be like, oh, there's contrast, or instead of maybe the scene being set up over there, putting that one in the middle so that you can see there's a contrast with these people and the other two. I don't know, something to that effect. And then theologically, there's not much to add. I
was honestly going to say, I think what is really interesting about this song is that there's not really a whole lot of gospel message in it. There is like the fact that it's scripture, and that sharing the gospel, the true result of the gospel should be that we receive peace from God, as he is the only, he is the progenitor of peace, if you will.
Right.
And so that should come as a result, but it also, being in a modern setting, not having like a overt gospel message, the gospel message itself is just, here's the Bible teaches peace, love,
I
whatever.
think there is a sense in which when the gospel is lived out, society changes. And so even this one being American noise, you almost do this in a patriotic sense, where there's the hope for America would be gospel as people act in accordance with Christ, that the society around us changes. Not that America is the chosen nation of God or anything crazy like that. Looking at you.
Looking at you, America.
Won't get into that. But that you can see that the Bible makes a difference when people live out the gospel. So it's light. No God officially in the song or whatever, but you could even add a Holy Spirit if you really wanted to show them the emphasis of people getting the message and having peace. The person of peace, the dove. Anyways. Clarity, difficulty, and style. I won't yell because I think I made our neighbors mad last time. So clarity, difficulty, style. See, I did it in the backwards way.
Like the opposite of the noise. Wow, that's crazy.
Cutting through the American noise. Because shout out if you're not American down in the comment.
Non-American gang in the comments below.
Can I get some eagles in the chat?
Just
can you give me
the emotes? So clarity. Spoiler alert, I'm not gonna give it that good on clarity. In fact,
I'm so dang shocked.
Man,
do it.
I might
Do it.
Give it my first one. Because like, as somebody who's been in mime for like half of my life at this point, I watched this first time as we were, going back through it, which has been the first time I've watched it in years. And I don't fully remember the last time. I watched it fully intently and I was confused. Meaning that if somebody who's not as familiar with mime looks at this
in a public audience, not committed to watch, you saw literally in that video, somebody came halfway through. Like that's very common with public outreaches. So like the clarity has to go up and not down when it comes to public things.
Exactly. So there's a big issue of clarity that is kind of my major and almost only critique of this song.
Yeah,
is that it's not clear, and so I'm giving it a 1 for clarity.
I'm giving it a 1. If we're not getting it, it's hard to say who else will get it. Yeah. And not that we're like perfect, but
yeah, I feel like if I was to like give it some forgiveness that maybe I got everything right, I'd give it a 2. So
if there's different acting, we could be missing something. Or like there's other songs where we did recently, End of the World, the version that we watched, not nearly as good or clear as the version that I'm familiar with growing up. And so that's where there's something to be said about we're only watching one version of the song most of the time, one iteration. So it's hard to rate each individual performance and otherwise the little nuances.
Yeah, different nuances.
Different team could have been different.
Different teams do it different ways, and that's totally reasonable.
But nevertheless, how difficult do you think this is? So I remember watching it and going, this would be really hard because there's a lot of scenes that are constantly moving where you have to add a lot of clarity to them. So it's not a lot, but it is that you have to constantly be moving and being really clear with your signs. I'm going to give it a 5.
Think so? I was leaning somewhere around there. One thing that I kind of noticed in thinking of clarity is each of these scenes don't really move from their block on the stage. Mm-hmm. So each scene is kind of static. But they also still have to be really energetic and really full of character and color and stuff like that.
Right, because the blocking is intentional as part of like keeping that scene the same.
It's supposed to be that way, which is totally fine. That's a stylistic thing. I don't fault it for that.
Yeah,
but
it just means that the difficulty has to go up because of
the difficulty then has to go into the character. So the character has to be amped up higher than an average song, just because otherwise you have a very null stage. Like everything is really lame.
Right, and I think you even saw in the song where some of the more experienced people kept the scene moving, they kept the fight, there was a reasonable time frame of what they did, whereas the people watching TV, it grew lax and it felt unclear because they didn't put enough energy into it. Granted, it's hard putting energy into a lazy character. That shout outs to mime technique, where even though you're acting lazy, you put a lot of effort into it. It's weird.
It's the most effort you would ever put into laziness.
Yeah, like you have to. There's a lot of energy and thought that goes into that. That can't be lazy being lazy.
Yeah, weirdly.
Difficulty.
So difficulty, I'm going to give it a 5. That was kind of where I was leaning.
All right, style. I give it a good amount of style. Obviously, has some polish that we'd give to it, but I like the 3-2-1. I think I see the resolve. I see the answer, the thing that they were shooting for, and how they used the pre-chorus intentionally to not get second act blues. There's a clear story in there. I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to go to a 6.
Ooh, crazy.
I see the style that's going in here, and I see that.
No, and like I think what gets me is like, if it, like I said earlier, it has the bones of a good song. Mm-hmm. Like if you were to take this exact same structure, exactly how it is, and just make the story clearer, I think that this would be a pretty good song.
Yeah.
And like different aspects of it, the 3 blocks of the stage, usually there's 2 if you do a split stage, but this has 3.
Yeah.
The person like walking between all 3 of them is kind of like almost a timeline or a spatial kind of
outside
thing.
Of those scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the way that they transition and how that like there's so many good components here that could come together for a really great song.
Yep.
I don't feel like it does though.
We're
so
not quite there.
That's why clarity has low. Style, leaning toward like a 5.
Fair. Yeah. All right. Tell us what you think down below. If you actually have the answer to this song, let us know. And like, subscribe, do all the things. Shout outs to the Eagles. Shout out to you, John Cooper. All the songs.
Happy birthday,
and people.
Because
his birthday is not. He'll be watching.
He's watching all of these on his birthday in April.
Probably.
Yeah. So somebody, if you know John Cooper, send this to him for his birthday and tell him to watch this. And also, happy birthday.
We have
John
other
Cooper.
of his songs. We didn't even exhaust all the Skillet songs that we have Mime songs to. So
True.
We will have you on our podcast, and we will happily talk to you about the heresy that we've put in your songs. But
Got him.
Got him.
Yeah.
I'm Samuel.
Sorry for butchering Sick of It, John. Breaking the line. It's a pretty deep cut, wasn't it?
That's good. Link down below for Sick of It.
Breaking the
line.
Angry words and honking cars, satellites and falling stars, distant dark blue radios that whisper down my bowl.